Welcome, everyone, to the Islanders Never Say Die podcast. I'm your host, TJ, and with me here, as always, is the grumpy old man,
No.
NHL analyst and expert, and they say there's no shame in his game because he's always the same.
Okay, I'm doing the intros from now on. I am the grumpy old man, your NHL analyst and expert. There's no shame in my game because I'm always the same. And besides me is that flunky intern TJ.
Grump, what do you have? What are you wearing right there?
I'm wearing my Barry and the Vets shirt. I can't think of a more opportune time to wear it as right now.
A more apropos moment than to wear it for certain.
Yes.
Look at that, Grump. Now, how does it feel? Let me ask you. Now, this is the merchandise that we have from the Islanders Never Say Die store. That is in the link in the description below. You can find that on YouTube, Facebook. You can find it there on Apple. Like when you listen to your podcast, you'll be able to see that in the link in the description. Now, Grump, how does a shirt feel? Does it feel good?
It does feel good. Feels very nice.
Quality material, I hope.
Yes.
There we go.
Very happy with the shirt.
Fantastic. And when you guys get because I know people have been purchasing their merchandise. When you get it, send us a picture of you wearing it because we want to show it on screen. I know my merchandise is coming in. Should be in. I think I said by the end of this week? ? I don't know. I got a few shirts that are coming in though, Grump. I'm looking forward to having it. But welcome everyone to the podcast. This is a twice a week Islanders podcast that goes live every single Wednesday and every single Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But if the Islanders play a hockey game on any day besides Thursday and Sunday, we'll be covering that game live. We'll be doing a live watch along on this channel. The only place where you can get, access to the watch alongs are when we're on YouTube and on our Facebook page. We don't share it anywhere else. We're just on YouTube and Facebook on that. That being said, Grump, the Islanders win in overtime, the first overtime win today, and the first time the Islanders have ever won a game on New Year's Day against the Edmonton Oilers today.
Yes. I mean, how perfect, right? You knew it was going to happen. I could not remember the last time we won a New Year's Day game, and we had never done that. So how apropos that today, the first time that we're doing a live stream, the Islanders win those games. They seem to do better when we do live streams. I'm just saying.
Oh, for certain, Grump. I'll tell you. What a game. First period, I thought we came out and we looked the better team. I wouldn't say dominant, but I think we looked the better team by a large or healthy portion. Second period, we're on the ropes. Third period, hey, we go ahead and answer back quickly with that goal. And we get it to overtime, and Noah Dobson, man, oh man, fantastic play by Noah Dobson.
Nice little fake on that goal by Dobson, and the kid can shoot the puck. Amazing what the young guys, when you give them a chance, what they're capable of doing. Do you think, look at the guys who scored today. All right. Average scored a rebound, deflection goal, his type of goal from Dobson, right? And Bellows. Then you have Anthony Beauvillier from Zarnak and Johnston. And then you have the overtime goal from Dobson from, I believe it was Barzell, correct?
Yeah, yes.
What's the one thing they all have in common?
I don't know. You lost me when you're droning on. They didn't get to the point quick enough.
They're all under the age of 25. Except for Johnston and Zarnak. But you get the point. The young guys are producing, the veterans aren't.
Okay. That is a point I agree with. Yes, for certain. And I'm going to ask you again. Do you remember not too long ago? Let's take the clock back a month ago. We were having guests on the show. We're going to start bringing guests back, but we had guests on the show. And I said that when Noah Dobson, when we can renew his contract and sign him to an extension, I wouldn't be opposed to give him an 8-year, $7 million deal. People looked at me like I was crazy. Oh, they're not going to pay him more than we're going to pay Adam Pelech and Ryan Pulock. Well, we've seen everything that Noah Dobson is and can be. When you give Noah Dobson ice time, when you give him 20-some-odd minutes a night, the guy in the 26 games so far he's played this year has 5 goals and he's got 9 assists. He's got 14 points over that time period. And the majority of the point production from him has been as of late since Ryan Pulock has gone out with injury. Ever since they actually started to give him and afford him more ice time, and they said, we're going to play you as a top 4 defenseman. We're not going to play you in a bottom 6 role. His play has elevated.
Right. And why? Was it something that Barry Trotcher said, "Oh, Noah Dobson, I like what I've seen from you, so I'm going to, instead of playing you 13 minutes a night, I'm going to increase your minutes"? No, it's because he was forced to. That's the thing with Barry Trotz. He has to be forced to play young guys. He started playing Dobson because Pulak went out, and then we had the COVID issues. So it means that Dobson had to shoulder more of the load, and he's come through and absolutely produced. They tried to throw that scenario up there. Well, since he's been benched, no, has nothing to do with it. He's been giving a legitimate shot to show what he can do out there when you take the shackles off. And it's not a mistake that he's producing. The kid has talent. The same thing, you see the same thing with Kiefer Bellows and Oliver Wahlstrom, even though he was benched today.
Yeah. Well, Oliver Wahlstrom, well, he was feeling maybe a little under the weather is the only thing I could think after coming back from COVID. Still kind of left scratching my head on that one. I mean, even if you weren't feeling great, you have a 12-day break, right? These two Islanders victories against the Buffalo Sabres and now today against the Edmonton Oilers, the Islanders are going to now be going on a 12-day break. So they've had a lot of starts and stops to this year. The West Coast and Canadian trip that they had planned, the games have been postponed at the moment.
Right. I mean, there's nothing you can do about that. So, it just is what it is. You got to play through it. That's just the way it is. No excuses. Don't make excuses. It is what it is. Other teams are going through similar circumstances. So, just ride it out and just get better. That's all you need to do.
Now let me ask you about this. Over these 2 games now, because where we had the break before Christmas leading until, just as of recent, we have 2 games. Now we have another additional break coming up. There's only been 2 games since our last podcast, but let me ask you though, Grump, what have you been impressed with the most over this 2-game stretch? Both games we won, and it's definitely headed in a start to head in the right direction. But what are kind of your takeaways from those 2 games as a whole? I know you mentioned younger guys are starting to produce, we're starting to score, but I want you to kind of opine on that and give us more of what you think about that spring.
Well, see, that's what I'm thinking of is the development of the younger players who have been forced into the lineup. And when you actually give them a regular shift, not 5 minutes a game for, maybe play once or twice a month, when they actually deserve and earn a regular shift because they're actually playing out there all the time. That's what you want to see from your younger players, right? You want to see the younger players take over for the older guys. That's what you want. They're cheaper. They have more upside. I'm so impressed with how Bellows is playing. Dobson, Wahlstrom, Sallow, not so much. But you know what?
Wahlstrom was not in there today.
Right. Even though he's been performing well. I mean, and Sallow, even though I'm not as on board as you are with Sallow, I'm glad he's playing a regular shift. His minutes were down today. I didn't think he deserved getting 20 minutes a night, honestly. But I'm glad that he's in the lineup. And I want to see some of the other younger guys. I want to see the Simon Holmstroms who have not played in the NHL before. I want to see them get a shift occasionally.
Why'd you take?
Because you waved me off as usual.
I was asking you to stop like that. I don't want to take a breath, Grumpy. You hold on. You're jumping now from.
You asked me what, or you asked me. I'm impressed by the young guys, and I want to see more of that.
Okay. I'm fine with it. I want to see more of Kiefer Bellows. He's played well. He's earned himself a spot for the time being on this roster. I think so, at least. I like what I've seen. I mean, like I know you mentioned Wahlstrom hasn't been there in the last 2 games. Wahlstrom has played extremely well this year. I want to see him continuing to get his role elevated. I like what I saw today out of Austin Zarnak. I like what I've seen in the limited time period, even before. Remember, he played that short stint with the Islanders before he was sent back down to Bridgeport. I've liked what I've seen out of Austin Zarnak all season long.
And what does it show you, right? That guys who are signed for close to veteran minimum are better than the guys that you insist on re-signing who are in their 30s. It's been mismanagement since Lou Lamoriello has gotten there, honestly, just the re-signing of guys in their 30s. When you can get the same or better production by younger players in the top 6 and by, vet minimum guys playing your bottom 6. You don't need to sign a Matt Martin, a Casey Cizikas. I mean, you don't need to sign a 37-year-old Zach Parise or $5 million for the F- Kyle Palmieri.
Well,
You don't need that.
we'll talk about those, but I want to kind of hone back in on the players that have played well as of recent. We want to see roles increased of, right? Zarnak, because when we come back from this 12-game stretch, the team and the roster will be 100% healthy. And what will we see from the Islanders is, I think, the biggest question. We've seen good performance of the last 2 games, albeit against the Buffaloes and albeit also against a struggling Edmonton Oilers. They've lost, 3 in a row? The overtime loss or the shootout loss to the Devils, and now another overtime loss against the Islanders. What do we think the lineups are going to look like going forward? Because, right, we're going to have Kyle Palmieri, who can officially be back, and we're also going to have Oliver Wahlstrom, who can officially be put back in the lineup.
What I think you're going to see is Barry Trotz go right back to the same old, playing the older guys at the expense of the younger players.
I want to just really quickly, I want to put something in. Barry Trotz was not actually coaching the team today. He was not at the arena due to personal issues or personal matters he had to take care of. So Lane Lambert was the coach behind the bench for the Islanders.
And I thought Lambert did a good job today. I still think that Barry Trotz had input as to who plays. But I thought it was interesting in overtime. I even lamented on the live stream, like, why has Noah Dobson not played any minutes in overtime? And sure enough, as soon as he comes out there, he scores the game-winning goal. That's a kid who needs to play all the time in overtime. He's your best skating defenseman.
So this, I agree. He should be playing more minutes in overtime. The guy is fantastic skater. He's offensive minded, and he's the guy who, when you have more open ice, he's going to excel. But this was the Islanders lineup today. Mind you, again, Beauvillier came back, but we still had Oliver Wahlstrom and Kyle Palmieri that were not deemed healthy enough to play. So, Grump, how do you expect what we saw tonight's lineup, and how do you expect it to differ when we come back from this 12-day off stretch?
I expect Kiefer Bellows to be on the bench. I expect I can't imagine Josh Bailey still being on the first line, but maybe he will. Has he deserved it? No. I think Beauvillier will still play. He had a pretty good game today, even though he's struggled this year. I think the guys you're going to see potentially get benched are going to be Bellows, Beauvillier, Zarnak, and Wahlstrom, because that's how Barry Trotz rolls. Young guys sit, old guys play. It doesn't matter.
Okay. Let's get specific, because you're going to have 2 guys coming back to the lineup. You're going to see 2 of these guys out. Who are the 2 that are out of what we saw tonight or this afternoon?
Probably Johnston and Bellows.
You think Bellows is going to be on the bench?
Yeah, I think he'll put Palmieri in there instead. Slide Beauvillier over to left, put Palmieri in his natural right, and take Johnston out and put Wahlstrom on that third line.
And
Brock Nelson's going to be coming back too, right?
And Brock Nelson, that's correct. I apologize.
So then you're going to see Zarnak out of the lineup, and they'll have Pajot be back on the third line. He's going to go back with the same old. That's what he's going to do.
It's going to drive me nuts. It's going to drive Islander fans nuts. Now, and I'll bring up a comment that Barry Trotz made about Kyle Palmieri, but just to bring up the stat line of what Kiefer Bellows has done over the last 7 games, grumpy old man. He's got 4 assists and 3 goals over that time period.
Point a game guy. Sounds pretty good to me. How many goals does Parise have? How many goals does Palmieri have? How many goals does Bailey have? How many goals does the whole I'm going to leave Clutterbuck out. How many goals does Matt Martin have? How many goals does Casey Zizekas have? This kid can't get a regular shift. Here's the thing. He's a top 6 player. It's not a mistake that he's producing in a top 6 role.
That's what I was about to say. Where if Bellows comes back, do you seriously expect him to receive the ice time that he should be receiving? I mean, the guy has played extremely well. For the last 7 games, he's a point-a-game guy. And since he's been playing some ice time with Matt Barzal, he's been putting up points in droves. Playing on the first line, he hasn't even, it's his second line today. But on the power play, he's been putting up points. And when he does get shifts out there with Matty B, and he gets shifts out there on the second line, he's been putting up points, right? You talk about inconsistency. Anthony Beauvillier did have a goal today. He was also stonewalled by Koskinen earlier on, but poor defensive clearance. All right, he's been an up and down guy all season. I think Josh Bailey, despite having 2 assists against Buffalo, has been pedestrian, if not mediocre. I mean, at best. Why would a guy like Kiefer Bellows not receive ice time over struggling veterans who have not played well when you have a young guy like this who, over the last 7 games, has 7 points?
Because that's not what Barry Trotz does. He rolls with the veterans, and youth be damned.
Well, Grumpy, what I was hoping you're going to do is hope you're just going to tilt the camera down to show me that shirt real quick as to why it is.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
It's because he's a Barry in the vets.
Very true. That's
and now you could shift it back up. I'm sorry. Let you get back to your point.
Yeah, but that's the way it is, though, right? He plays the veterans at the expense of the youth. I mean, you're seeing the young guys develop before your eyes. You're seeing them be the only people who are able to score on this team. Anders Lee scored today. That was a direct result of a feed from Kiefer Bellows. Because Anders Lee, when he scores, he's not creating. He's a garbage man. And he's good at it. That's what he does. It's the only skill set he has anymore, is scoring goals in front of the net. And it's a good skill to have. Is it worth $7 million a year? No. Is it worth another 5 years on a contract? No. But that's what we're stuck with. You know my feelings on it. I try to move him. I would rather have Kiefer Bellows and Oliver Wahlstrom playing with Matt Barzal on the first line. That's a line. You got one guy who's the ultimate creator and 2 guys who are not afraid to shoot the puck. And Kiefer Bellows or Oliver Wahlstrom are not afraid to go down low either.
So let me ask you about this regarding Kyle Palmieri. They said there's no guarantee that he's going to be starting. They said there's no guarantee that when he is back healthy, that Kyle Palmieri is going to be automatically supplanted back into the lineup. Now, do you think that maybe Kyle Palmieri is the guy who's going to have to earn his spot back?
No. What he didn't say is Kyle Palmieri is going to sit on the bench when he's ready to come back and play. He didn't say that. He just says there's no guarantee that he's going to be playing. You know what that means? Absolutely nothing. Well, he looked good in practice. He's, things are starting to turn around for him. They'll feed you some line of crap. But here's the thing. He's not been good enough this year. He wasn't good enough last year. He reminds me of Jordan Eberle, who got hot in the playoffs for a couple of rounds and then gets a big contract. And then, they go back to being who they are. Kyle Palmieri was a horrible trade. I was against it from the beginning. And re-signing him was another colossal blunder. You just keep on making one mistake after another. Every team has to have somebody who puts points up, even crappy teams. Kyle Palmieri is one of those guys when he was with the Devils.
So you think that there is, and again, I'll just kind of zero it back in on this. You think that there's no threat at all that Kyle Palmieri's position or spot is no longer guaranteed, that he is a guy that's going to be in the lineup game in and game out?
Yes, absolutely. How does Josh Bailey get a shift every night on the first line? I said it during the live stream. I don't think he even puts a stick on the ice. I've never seen a guy do so little and continue to move up the lineup. It's mind-boggling how a guy that inept somehow manages to find his way on the first line every year. He does nothing all year long. I mean, and this year, you said to be charitable, he's been mediocre. He's been atrocious, and I think that's being charitable. He's been the worst offensive player on our team this year. I don't think it's even close for anybody else. He's just Invisibailey. That's who he is. Josh Invisibailey. Thank you, Scott Levy.
He's not played well. I'd like to think that there's some validity behind that statement, but knowing Barry Trotz, I don't think there is. I think that when Kyle Palmieri's back and healthy, he will be back in the lineup. There's no way he sits. I mean, it kind of makes me happy, and because I think about it, right? I try to go down each avenue, right? If let's say exactly what Barry says is exactly what he means, Kiefer Bellows is going to still stay in the lineup. And Oliver Wahlstrom is going to be put back in the lineup, and Kyle Palmieri is not. You know what I think? I think it's good and bad, right? It's good to see that Barry is finally giving the younger guys, if he does this, the younger guys a chance, and he's saying, "Hey, you're performing, Kiefer Bellows. You've earned yourself a spot. 7 points in the last 7 games and top 6 minutes. You have earned yourself a spot. We're happy with what we've seen. I'm going to let you keep on running with it, man. Don't look back." But it also makes me think, hold on a second. Kyle Palmieri was the guy that was so indispensable to our team and was going to have a bounce back year that we had to sign him to a 5-year or 4-year contract, $5 million per this offseason. And you think to yourself, now this guy's a healthy scratch? Yikes.
He's not a healthy scratch.
Or he could be. I'm saying in this scenario, if it actually happens, he would be a healthy scratch.
Now, Trotz hasn't come out and said that Kiefer Bellows is going to play every game. He hasn't said that. He hasn't said Wallstrom's going to play every game. The only thing he said is that, Kyle Palmieri's not guaranteed to get to play right away or whatever he said.
He's not guaranteed ice time. He's not guaranteed spot.
Yeah, he's not guaranteed ice time. Yeah, okay. No one's guaranteed ice time. No one. I mean, did he say that Kyle Palmieri's going to, what, we're going to roll with this lineup as we have right now. Kyle Palmieri, you're going to sit for a while. He didn't say that. And he's not going to. 12 days is a long time. Oh, everybody's back healthy. This is the tried and true unit. They got us to 2 Eastern Conference finals before we got shit canned by the eventual Stanley Cup champions. My question is this team good enough to win a Stanley Cup?
Okay. Don't deviate away from what we're talking about. Please, man.
It's part of the same process.
Oh,
if the team's not good enough to win a Stanley Cup, why would you go back to the old tried and true method that didn't work before? Why would you do that?
Okay. Let's shift a bit. Now, I want to talk about Zarnak. You talk about the second goal that Pavillier, gets a nice bounce to him. He's able to go ahead and net it. It was a great job, a nice dump by Ross Johnston. Zarnak fights and dispossesses the Edmonton Oilers behind the net.
And Johnston,
a few attempts in front on Koskinen. The puck goes bouncing into Pavillier, and it all starts really with the dump in by Ross Johnston, and then you see Zarnak fight that and take that puck away from Edmonton, and it results in a goal for the Islanders to knot it up at 2 apiece.
But you're minimizing Ross Johnston coming in also behind the net to check those 2 guys, which freed up Zarnak. I mean, Zarnak was picking it out, but Johnston also came in and took out those 2 Edmonton guys, which made him so he was able to make that pass to Pavillier. I mean, it was a great team goal, a great line goal, I thought. Everyone contributed on that. And I just thought it was interesting that, Anthony Pavillier, who's going to get demoted? It's not like we look great in the second period, but who are we going to demote to the third line? We're going to demote Anthony Pavillier. That's the Barry Trotz mindset right there, even though Lane Lambert's behind the bench. They elevate Zach Parise, who did nothing today, absolutely nothing. And somehow he gets elevated. What did he deserve? What did he do to deserve to be elevated? I couldn't name something. Could you?
He worked hard. And this is what we were talking about on the show. The issue, and we talked about this during the live stream, the issue here is this. We're a team that has about 6 or 7 fourth-line guys, right? Zach Parise, bottom 6 forwards. Zach Parise is a really good bottom 6 forward. He's a guy who puts effort in, doesn't really have the scoring touch, doesn't have the offensive acumen he once has, doesn't have the wheels he once had. He's a bottom 6 guy and a really good energy guy and a hard worker. He'll never produce points like he used to. Just that those days are gone. Ship has sailed. But our team is full of guys who don't produce points and who have a lot of energy. I don't need to see a million of those on the ice. The issue of this team is not the lack of energy and a lack of heart. The issue this team has is a lack of scoring ability. So what did Zach Parise do to answer your question to elevate him through the line? I don't think enough, but I think it was more of they were upset with Anthony Pavillier's bad turnover in the second period, and that led to the goal against the second goal for the Edmonton Oilers. So they determined to demote him to the third line.
Okay. Why not elevate Zarnak?
He plays center.
So what? Zach Parise played center on the fourth line when Casey Zizekas was out. He could do that easily play that spot. Zach Parise is a fourth liner at this stage of his career. You don't elevate guys like that. I mean, I'm sorry. It's the continual mistake of trusting the veterans. who are cashed. They're cashed. Who's scoring the goals every night? Who's setting everything up? It's not, I mean, and how does Josh Bailey's totally invisible play not get him demoted? Bavillier's the only guy that gets demoted? Give me a break. I'm sorry.
Josh Bailey had 2 assists is what they'll hang their hat on against Buffalo.
2 secondary assists would have nothing to actually do with the play and the goal. Those are the typical Josh Bailey assists. I touched the puck 10 minutes ago and I get an assist. That's a Josh Bailey assist right there.
Were they secondary assists or primary assists? You know that? Or are you just doing that thing where you always do it and you just say
I'm doing that thing I always do, but I'm going to guarantee you they were not primaries. Here's the thing. I didn't hear anybody say after the game, man, Josh Bailey looked great creating chances. No, it was all about Kiefer Bellows and Noah Dobson.
And then Anthony R. saying, yeah, it's amazing. You know, it's like a light bulb went off in Noah Dobson's head. He's such a different player now. Thank God. It looks like we have a stud on the back end. Here's the thing. We have talked about
it's confidence. Him getting confidence because he knows he's not going to get benched if he turns a puck over once. That is called showing confidence in your player. And Barry Trotz had to do it. It's not that he wanted to, he had to. It's the same issues he had in Washington and the same issues he had in Nashville. Same issues.
Thanks. That was what I was about to say before you ran me over. I appreciate it. John W. saying here, Dobson is a beast. He's matured, no longer worried about him. And we owned the third period. Yeah, Noah Dobson, yeah, just like as Grumpy said, he's got confidence in himself. He knew that there was no way he had to worry about the danger of his spot being moved or him being benched or sat or played bottom line minutes. He didn't have any other options. They said, no, we've got to have you. We got to have you step up. They had to rely upon him. And in that situation where he had to be relied upon, he took it and he ran with it. And again, like what we've seen on him is fantastic. The guy is everything that you'd want as a bona fide top 4 defenseman. People were, think about this. People were worried, upset with Dobson's play. And we said it's deeper than just looking at the surface level issue. We knew it was deeper than just looking at the surface level issue. Noah Dobson, when Ryan Pulock comes back and he's healthy, Noah Dobson should still be playing 20, 21 minutes a night. Change my mind. He should still be playing 20 to 21 minutes a night. Guess what? Zdeno Chara and Andy Green should be playing. Robin Sallow, what did he play? 12, 13 minutes this evening or this afternoon? Andy Green is Zdeno Chara. Number one, Zdeno Chara, when Ryan Pulock comes back, should be sitting his ass on the bench. I think that Zdeno Chara had a better game today. This is probably one of his best games so far this year. Zdeno Chara is a freaking defensive liability. He should not be out there on the ice.
But you know, it's always going to be Pulock on the first pairing, Mayfield on the second pairing, and Dobson's going to go back down to being a third pairing guy. And it's going to frustrate me no end. To me, he's the best defenseman on your team right now. Overall defenseman. Adam Pelech brings nothing to the table offensively. And I'd love to see Dobson playing with Pelech. That's what I'd love to see, those two out there together.
What I'd like to see is Mayfield should be playing the bottom line. He should. I know he's played a lot of. He should play the bottom line. He doesn't bring any offense. He's a guy who's he's a physical guy. Pair him up with a guy like Sallow out there on the ice, right? Noah Dobson's played well. I don't know. I'm sorry, Grum. I don't care. I mean, even if you got to sit Green out of the lineup, Noah Dobson has showed before he can kind of switch sides every once in a while. However they need to construct it, Noah Dobson needs to play 20, 21 minutes of ice time a night. Every day. I
don't want to see Noah Dobson's a right-handed defenseman. I want to see him playing his natural spot. I'm sick and tired of the veterans not being able to play their offside. It's always the young guys. So you're going to put the young developing guys, the guys you don't trust, in positions that they're not most comfortable at. And Barry Trotz has always done that. To me, that's asinine. They did it with Boychuk and Dobson when they played together. Dobson had to play the offside. Why not Johnny Boychuk? A 15-year veteran can't play the offside, but a young guy, wet behind the ears, you're going to make him play an unfamiliar position? It's just stupid. That's just dumb.
Anthony R. says, is it possible for either Dobson or Mayfield to play the opposite side? Because it would be great to have a top 4 of Pelech, Pulock, and Dobson and Mayfield. So in a situation like this, if you could find a way to do something like that, that's fantastic. Dobson has really stepped up his game. It's a crying shame if he's demoted and saying, oh, Noah Dobson, now you're only playing 16, 17 minutes or 18 minutes a night again. This guy should be getting every premium opportunity there is out there. He's young. He's got fresh legs. He's got unbelievable capacity to skate. He's got offensive acumen and vision. You've seen it. When we were forced to give him that opportunity, we've seen what he can do.
Mayfield should be on the bottom pairing. And I wouldn't mind pairing him with Sallow. I don't think Sallow is there yet. And I don't know how good they'd be as a pairing. But Dobson needs to be in your top four. There's no excuse for him not to be a top four defenseman on this team right now. Just none.
Matthew S. saying, stop with average Andrews. He's been playing well.
Totally disagree. Totally disagree. He stands in front of the net and deflects pucks. He can't skate anymore. He cannot skate. He plays no defense, doesn't go into corners. He's to me, he's cashed. He's absolutely cashed. The one thing he still does well is stand in front of the net and deflect pucks. And he's good at it. But every other portion of his game is just it's below average. That's why his name is average.
Matthew C. Yep, Dobson special. Bellis needs to be a regular. Don't let Paul Mary play again.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. They're not okay. This isn't Billy Martin coaching the Yankees back in the day where he didn't care what the contract was. Best players play. That's not what goes on here. You play because of the contracts you sign.
It's unfortunate to think about, isn't it?
That's why they don't win.
Hunter H says you got to feel for for Parise. He gives it his all every game. Yeah, I think he's again. I was talking to Grumpy. He's I think a really, really good bottom six guy, fourth liner. I know he doesn't throw the body around a lot, but I think he's a good fourth liner in the form of energy and effort. But we just have so many of them, and we just continue to bring in more fourth line guys, right? We already have our fourth line completed. I mean, Matt Martin, yikes, did he look bad today? I'm telling you, Matt Martin is, you talk about guys who are cashed, Matt Martin is cashed.
Another guy who can't skate. If you can't skate, you can't play. At least Parise can still skate somewhat. But here's the thing. The only thing that makes me not against Parise is he's only making $750,000 this year. I don't know what the bonuses are, but if it's based on performance, he's not going to hit any of those.
It's a games played.
If it's games played, he'll hit them.
Yeah.
Because he's going to play regardless. But here's the thing. I don't care that he skates hard up and down the wing. He doesn't do anything. You wonder why he got waived or cut loose by Minnesota and was a healthy scratch? All you need to do is watch how he's playing for the Islanders. He just can't play anymore either. I don't care. He's 37 years old. He never even should have been signed.
Anthony R. there saying, I love the young guys. Bellis, Zarnak, Johnson, and Sallow. Add Wallstrom when he comes back. Very nice. We just have to sit Martin. He's bad now. Yeah, he's finished. But I think that has been the realization a lot of Islander fans have come to as of recent. We've been propagating and talking about this point for a long time. The younger guys needed a chance when Sites and the Islanders media cartel were announcing time of death on Kiefer Bellows. I officially announced the time of death on Kiefer Bellows. I wonder if they scrub articles like that from the internet after they go ahead and put stuff like that out there once a player actually performs. I remember you and we had mentioned he had one bad game earlier on this year, and we said, yeah, it wasn't a good game. I know he didn't look fantastic out there on the ice, but I mean, played in a limited role. He was let know he's going to be playing an hour before ice time, and he played limited minutes. I mean, what are you expecting him to do in that case and scenario? But now you've seen, once you give him a few games and say, here's a 10-15 game stretch, let's see what you can do. The play has just been improving, and he looks like he is everything of an everyday NHLer. That's what we've seen out of him over the last 10 game stretch.
I have been talking about this very thing for 2 years now. Everyone ignores me. Everyone says, no, stupid, grumpy old man. You don't know what you're talking about. And I've always been steadfast. I'm no shame in my game because I'm always the same. Let the young guys play. They have a chance to develop. Old guys are just going to get worse. Now you're seeing when forced, and I mean forced to play the young guys, a consistent shift every single night. What are you seeing? Improved play and improved production. They're the reason why we're winning games. Not the old guys who can't play anymore. The young guys are the reason we've started winning games. When was the last time Josh frickin' Bailey was on the goal scoring sheet? I don't
Oh,
care about secondary assists. I'm talking about actually putting the puck in the net, or Kyle Palmieri,
but
or
hey,
Zach Parise.
Christ. But grumpy. All these veteran forwards, they do a great job of back checking and playing great defense and team defense. They sell out for the team, grumpy. And these young guys, they just don't play defense. They don't know how to commit.
What did our defense look like early this year? Look like trash. Because you got all those veterans out there. You got defensemen who can't skate, Chara, Green. You're sheltering the minutes of the guys who can, Dobson. I mean, I'm sorry, we're not a great skating defense corps. We're just not. Okay, Aho came in. I thought Aho played well. You're not going to see him anymore, but we're going to roll out Zdeno Chara, and I thought Chara played okay today. All right, everything said. I thought he played well today. But other than that, I'd much rather play Aho than Chara or Green. And I'm not saying those guys are useless, but maybe they should be your seventh defenseman, not the guys who play 20 minutes a night because they can't do it anymore. This is not 10 years ago, Zdeno Chara. It's not 15 years ago, Andy Green. It's not. It's 2022.
Holy shit, it's 2022 today. I forgot. Oh my God, today is the new year. Happy New Year, everybody, by the way. Today's the new year. We're in 2022. Holy crap. Ooh.
Welcome, newbies.
Welcome,
Stay away
newbies.
from the hair jokes. It's been deemed too easy.
Tony Cheese is the resident flying ace. Man, I tell you. The young guys have played well. Definitely reasons to be encouraged in that aspect. When we talk about a short, retool, this is what I mean. The young guys, when given a chance and given an opportunity to thrive, have been playing well. And if you can build around those pieces and add, maybe it has to be a commitment from the coach. It has to be a commitment from the team and the organization to give and live with some of the bumps and bruises you're going to have with a guy like Kiefer Bellows, that you're going to have with guys like Oliver Wahlstrom, like you had this year with Noah Dobson. That is exactly what I mean. Noah Dobson, because he's young, goes through these time periods of ups and downs, of inconsistency when they find their way into being a tried and true everyday NHLer. Everyone wanted to say Noah Dobson doesn't look like he could be a top 4 guy for us earlier on this year because he looked like he was struggling as he was getting paired up with new defense pairings every other night. And now when he's given a chance and he has a chance to settle in, the guy looks like to be our best defenseman by a country mile on the ice. He's going to score more goals this year than Ryan Pulock. I can promise you that much. Doesn't even matter what happened. I mean, Pulock doesn't. He'll probably have the most goals out of any defenseman for us this season.
He's our third leading scorer right now. Our third leading scorer. Guess what? We benched our second leading scorer today. I mean, you just look at some of these numbers. All right. Josh Bailey, 1 goal. Kyle Palmieri, 1 goal. Zach Parise, 1 goal. I mean, Andrei Andrehov has just as many goals as Josh Bailey. 1 freaking goal the whole season. These are your guys. These are your vaunted veterans. The guys that are sacred cows. We can't keep them out of the lineup. 3 goals between the freaking bunch of them. And they make what, $11 million? I call that not good return for your money.
I'll tell you this much. Man, oh man. It kind of
Zarnak has a goal.
I was about to say, and this comment here by Alexander, Zarnak should not see Bridgeport for a while. He has been good. Happy New Year's, by the way, guys. Happy New Year's. Bellows has been good. He's starting to get more comfortable for certain. That's why he's starting to settle in. But Zarnak, the way Zarnak has been playing, it tells me this. He would be a more than suitable replacement for Casey Cizikas. Zarnak Burns, we talk about how can you make sure you have enough cap space to get effective players and to make moves for players that may have higher contracts, higher skilled players that may cost a little more. How would we have the cap space? Well, you could save yourself $1.5 million by not re-signing back Casey Cizikas and saying, Zarnak, we've seen what you can do. Let's see what you can do on a fourth line on a consistent basis. Casey has not been great this season. Zarnak,
0 goals.
We've seen him, and to this afternoon, he looked fantastic.
Casey Cizikas, 1 point on the season, 0 goals. Matt Martin, 1 point on the year, 0 goals. -5 for Cizikas, -3 for Martin. I'm sorry. Why are these guys regulars in the lineup every night? They've done Nothing. And the worst thing is, you just signed Casey Zizekas at 30 years old to a 6-year contract extension for a fourth freaking liner. I'm sick and tired of it. Stop throwing good money at guys who are in their 30s. You don't need to pay them that much money.
Zarnak this year in the 8 games he's played has a goal and 3 assists. Again, I'm not saying the guy is the greatest thing since sliced bread, but he's played well, and he plays in a bottom 6 role, and he's been providing a little bit of a scoring touch and helping provide offense. Like, a guy like that should not be taken out of the lineup, but you damn well know he's going to be sent back to the taxi squad. Oh, here goes Zarnak. Oh, well, Brock Nelson's back. Oh, Zarnak, you're going to sit. Okay, you're going to be back on the taxi squad. If we need anything from you when we have an injury that pops up 20 games in the future, then we're going to call on you. And instead of allowing a hot guy to continue to perform and to grow in his role, you say, "Oh, sorry, we've already got other people that we feel more comfortable with, even though they're not performing." And that's shit that's going to drive me nuts. 12 days from now, we are going to see a lineup that I think that we're not going to enjoy out here on the ice. And they're going to be rewarding guys who are signed to long-term contracts to players that they think, again, are more valuable players instead of the players who are performing better than they are at the moment.
All you have to do is use your eyes to say who's playing well and who's not. I don't need some clown to go to some website and bring up any type of these Corsi numbers. All I got to do is watch. Don't tell me how poor Josh Bailey is. I can see it.
Tony Cheese saying, in all seriousness, this next game against New Jersey, is it, if we lose, count the season? Tony Cheese picking.
That's a shout out to TJ. Keep on pushing.
Not a shout out. It's a jab, Grump.
Yeah, I know. He's shouting out the fact that you keep on saying that.
Shout out's a good thing. A shout out's a good thing. When you give somebody a shout out, it's like, hey, this is my best friend Grumpy. He's part of the Islanders Never Say Die podcast. That's a shout out. That's not a shout out.
Okay.
Oh, man. And John Whitty also saying here, I still would give Charles minutes to Sallow. When Pulak returns, change needs to be made.
I don't think Sallow's ready. I don't.
Ooh. I hope not, Tony Cheese. He's thinking the lineup's going to look the exact same way they did the
I feel the same way. He's going to go back to the same old. You might see Bellows play for a game or two, but as soon as he stops scoring, right to Siberia he goes. Because that's what Trotz has done with him. First of all, he doesn't like him. He doesn't play his game. You know what his game is? Scoring. That's not something Barry Trotz cares about. All he cares about, can you play defense? How's that working out for you, Barry? One of the worst teams in the league. How's that working out for you?
You, Grumpy. I was just reading this comment here. Oh, no. I didn't read the article, nor will I. So I did hear about it, and I tried to find a quote through other sources.
Did Barry really do an interview with those clowns?
Eve L says, I wonder what Zarnak's ceiling is. I think
Not
what you
much
see
more than it is here.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a guy who could score 10 goals a year, 15 assists. He's a bottom pairing guy. He's an energy guy. I'd have no problem with him being our fourth line center. It's obvious it was unnecessary to sign Casey Zizekas back. I was talking about Eric Howler earlier in the year. 2 years for less money than Casey Zizekas got. Casey Zizekas got 6 years. 6 years. I mean, that's like a prison term for Islander fans, watching him for another 6 years. He just can't get the job done anymore.
So no, it was done here, and just to clarify, it was with Andrew Gross. And it just said, well, now
they probably just stole it from him.
They just went ahead and posted the tweet and just opined about it and had an opinion piece. Adds that when Palmieri gets healthy, the coaching staff will see if they put him back in, because there are other players who are playing well right now. See, like, I don't see an exact quote on that, so it's tough. Like, when I read something like that, I think to myself, okay, is this just like, Andrew Gross is trying to do some sort of sensationalism journalism or something like that? Or he's just saying, oh, he mentioned that, maybe his spot's not secured. But I mean, I'd love to hear how he says it, what type of inflection he puts on it, whether I could say that if I can immediately sniff out and say that's some bullshit that Barry Trotz just said, or if it actually maybe has some validity behind it. I wish I could hear the quote on it, but we won't.
Okay, Kyle Palmieri in 25 games, 1 goal, 6 assists, 7 points, minus 11, worst on the team. Why would he be guaranteed a spot? How should he be guaranteed a spot? I mean, I'm sorry. He doesn't deserve it. Sit. Josh Bailey, you've done nothing. Absolutely nothing this year. You sit. You won't shoot the puck. You're going to sit. I'm glad he didn't play on the power play today. That was the one saving grace, not seeing him on the power play. That's where power play, when Barry Trotz wants things to go into the tank, he just puts Josh Bailey on a line. He murders it. He puts him on the power play unit. That'll stop it. I mean, what did we like about today's power play? You had Barzell in there creating, Dobson at the top who puts the puck on the net. You had Bellows who's not afraid to shoot the puck, and you had Average Anders in front of the net. I don't even know who the other was. Oh, Bavillier was the other guy who's not afraid to shoot. These are the type of guys, that's what you need on a power play. You don't need guys giving hand jobs to one another back and forth like Bailey and Leddy used to do all last year. And Josh Bailey does with everybody. I mean, you don't need that. That's the last thing you need. You need a little bit of speed. Look at the movement on the power play today.
Yep.
Look at the movement. When Josh Bailey's out, do you see any movement? It's like the plays in suspended animation when he's out there.
Alexander has a question for you, Grump. I'm gonna let you respond to it, and I'll be right back.
Okay. Any chance Varley gets traded to Edmonton? I don't know about that, but here's the thing I really know about. TJ just took a bathroom break before we started this podcast 49 minutes ago, and somehow he has to go to the bathroom again. I think that's a problem. Barry Trotz can't solve that. No one can. Maybe a catheter could solve that problem for TJ, or maybe a bucket that he could have below his pee-pee so he can go to the bathroom during the show. I'm able to do it. I'm a lot older than he is. I don't know what his problem is. Maybe he shouldn't drink those super jugs of liquid before a podcast. I mean, everybody tells you. I'm sure his wife says before they leave the house every day, "Hey, TJ, have you gone to the bathroom yet? Because we're going to the stores now. Want to make sure you don't have to go to the bathroom when you get to the store." I don't know how that works, but that's probably what happens. Back to Varlamov getting traded to Edmonton. Edmonton doesn't have a goalie. I think Koskinen is not very good. He's a rebound machine. That said, if they really have a serious conversation on Varlamov, I'm willing. Just give me a draft pick, first round. I'd love to get a first rounder. He makes $5 million. What does that do for you? Clears $5 million off your cap. You get rid of a guy who's nothing but a backup anyway. That's what I would do. I would not take a player back. I don't want players. I want draft assets. That's what I want. Oh, look at that.
You bastard, Grump. I heard all that. You going off, tearing off about if I've got to leave the house, I need to go. People have to check if I've used the bathroom yet. God, mighty.
I mean, we just had a break. I was able to go to the bathroom. I don't feel the urge to have to go to the bathroom 10 minutes later.
Brian B says, "Give it up, TJ. Bellows takes a penalty and he's sitting again."
That's what I think is going to happen. Anytime he makes a little mistake, right now he's not at risk for it, right? Why? Because they don't have enough healthy bodies to play. So he knows he's going to get a shift, and you've seen the improvement in his play. It's not a mistake, people. It's really not a mistake. When your leash is this freaking short, when that piece of shit Trotz is out there, there's a reason why those guys play like that. They play scared because they know as soon as they make a mistake, they're going back to Siberia. That's what happens. The old guys, they could play like shit the whole year, 2-3 years at a time, Josh Bailey, but somehow they get to play all the stuff they want. This is like daddy ball. I call it daddy ball. It doesn't matter because daddy's little favorites, his little kiddies, are going to play over better players because that's why he's coaching. And that's why Barry looks at it. Josh Bailey, I'll never forget. I never thought Josh Bailey was that good. Then I see him. Man, he's so smart out there. Guess what? He's still not any good, Barry. You saw it from across the ice. No one wanted him. No one. You can't give him away. But somehow he's playing on your first line.
Mm-hmm.
That's an understatement. Bailey is awful is an understatement.
Brian B worried though that Kyle Palmieri is not. He's going to play game in and game out. Doesn't matter.
100% agree. This is the guy we re-signed because he bought a house on Long Island. Oh, that means we're signing him back. I don't give a shit where he buys a house. I'd buy his house to get him out of town.
You say that all the time. Do you understand what the point of that was? The comment, when people make that comment that he bought a house, it means that they never had intention of him ever actually having a chance to sign somewhere else, because we had some sort of gentleman's agreement and we had it already pre-discussed that we were going to sign him back, and that's why he bought a house.
It's a freaking business. It's a freaking business.
No.
He was a shitty performer last year. He didn't deserve to be re-signed. He cost you a shot at Vladimir Tarasenko. We didn't want to take any of his salary. We didn't want to give up anybody to get him. But Kyle Palmieri, yeah, you scored against this human sieve, Travis Jarry, and a guy with one hip. And that's because what did he do against Tampa Bay? Oh, that's right. Nothing. And he was imperative for you didn't sign. That's why I didn't want him. I hate him at the trade deadline. I hate him now, and I'm always going to hate him. I hated when he was in Jersey. Remember I told you before the deadline, I'm like, the one guy I don't want is Kyle freaking Palmieri. He's the one guy I didn't want out of everybody, was Kyle Palmieri, the F-. And that's being generous as well.
Tony Cheese saying here, yeah, I don't know why freaking Palmieri starting is in question when he hits far more posts than that piece of shit Bailey. Bailey
won't shoot the puck. It's impossible for him to post. He won't even shoot the puck. He was a foot from the goalie today, and he passes it behind the net. He sucks. Like I said, he doesn't even put his stick on the ice. Today I was watching. What's that useless dog Bailey doing out there? Because he was invisible. I thought maybe he was dead, because I saw nothing out of Bailey. I'm like, oh, there he is. Look at that. Where's his stick? It's like up in the air, upside down. I'm like, man, Bailey sucks. I don't know why they even interview him in between periods.
And then Brian B said, Bellows has been playing well. It's great to see him not having to worry about getting benched every game.
That's what it is. It's not rocket science. It's really not. Dobson and he have benefited the most from all these injuries. Why? Because Barry can't bench them if they look cross-eyed at Barry, because he's quick to bench them. Oh, geez, he missed a check there. Didn't turn into anything, but you're benched. Josh Bailey skates around with the stick up his ass, does absolutely nothing. You're getting elevated to the first line. All I know is Bellows scores when he plays a top six role. What's Josh Bailey do? Absolutely freaking nothing.
And then
I haven't talked to the Islanders fandom in quite a while. I'm a little fired up right now, even after 2 wins in a row.
He's in midseason form. John W. saying the fact is that Bailey's 4th in points and 2nd on the team in assists. Also is all
secondary freaking assists. He'll touch a puck in the defensive zone. It'll go to somebody else. Then Barzell will pick it up just over the blue line and skate rings around everybody, do an individual goal. Josh Bailey got an assist. He's the king of the secondary assist.
Josh Bailey's point production. He's got 23 games played, 12 points. I mean, I want you to let that sink in. The guy who is 4th on our team in scoring averages about 0.5 points every game.
At this pace, he might have 3 goals by the end of the year. Think about that. 3 goals for a guy who makes $5 million a year. Well, guess who's on the same? Kyle Palmieri, same thing. $5 million a year, maybe 3 goals this year. Zach Parise, he only makes $750. He'll have 3 goals too. Casey Zikas, 0 goals. Matt Martin, 0. Got a lot of goose eggs. I didn't bring up the goose eggs. I just bring up somebody who actually scored a goal.
Brian B. saying here, Martin should never see the ice again.
He shouldn't even be allowed to have ice in his drink.
He shouldn't be allowed to breathe the same air as the New York Islanders.
No, it was an ice joke.
That's fine. Deidre C said, I see you still grumpy, even in the new year. I still love watching you.
You know what? And Dobson scored today. I was happy. And then TJ started provoking me, poking and prodding me about my favorites, like Josh Bailey. And the failures, epic failures from those guys. And it just gets me fired up. Remember, we haven't really talked to Islander fandom in a while.
That is true.
At least it seems
Mike,
like forever to me.
Miguel wants to know, did you even play hockey, Grumpy?
Okay, he didn't say, "Did you even play hockey?"
It's
That's not
okay.
what he
I'm gonna
said.
let you know something. Did you play hockey? Here's the thing. It's one of those where it's like you're at the gym. It's like, do you even lift, bro? It's like, here, I'll let you respond to it, and I'll break down what I think about when comments like this roll in.
I have never played professional hockey, no.
Here's the thing. It's as if to think.
Yes, Josh Bailey's a better player than I am, but I can see shit. Guess what? I take shits every day in the toilet, and when I look, I see Josh Bailey's face on them.
Josh, no eating on some Grumpy's on freaking fire.
I know what shit looks like, Josh Bailey.
Oh man, he's on fire.
So thanks, Mike. Love you.
And then John M said, Grumpy, I've corrected my spelling of fiance. Great game by all the young players. They outperformed the older players today, and we got a victory.
Isn't that
He
the way
says-
it's been since
Mike
we
L
started
says,
winning, though?
you need to stop questioning the coaches. Start rethinking why you're not taking Butchie's job.
Oh,
Anytime I didn't even see this comment afterwards, but I knew as soon as he's like, did you even play hockey? It's like by saying, okay, Mike, do you watch football? Did you ever play professional football? Then don't have a comment. Don't have an opinion on it. Mike, did you ever it's just like when I see comments like this, it's like to say that because you did not play the sport professionally, that, well, you can't have an opinion. You can't have any thought that deviates away from what somebody else does. And if you do have a thought, just because it's different than what's propagated out there on the ice by our coaching staff, that automatically yours is invalid because these guys do this professionally and you don't do that professionally.
Here's the thing,
Sad
Mike.
and silly. Sad and silly.
Mike, thank you so much for the comment. I love it when people come at me. I really do. Maybe I shouldn't be questioning coaches. You know who should be, though? Ledecky, Malkin, and Lou Lamoriello. When your team's in the bottom 5 of the league, guess what? You should be called out by your ownership group. Guess what, Barry Trotz? You've done a miserable job this year. Absolutely miserable. You're in the bottom level of this league. Stop making excuses. It's your use of the talent that you have is why the team sucks this year. You decided, I like the veterans on this team. The veterans are going to lead us to a Stanley Cup. They're not. They're absolutely not. That is not happening. This group is never winning a Stanley Cup. You need to jettison the veterans, force Barry Trotz, absolutely force him to play younger players. That's what has to happen. It happened everywhere he's been. Washington, the last year he was there, he was forced to play the younger players. They won a Stanley Cup. Did Washington want him back? No, they didn't. Bye-bye. I don't care that you won a Stanley Cup. We don't want you anymore. There's a reason why he doesn't win Stanley Cups. He's a good regular season coach. But his refusal to play young players is the biggest problem that he has. The fact that he thinks that Josh Bailey should be getting a regular shift is embarrassing. Embarrassing to anyone who's ever put on skates. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. Grumpy. I've seen you go off before. I want you, Grumpy. I've seen you go off before. Man, oh man. I'm kind of worried. I'm worried a little bit about your heart rate, but Grump, I want you to listen to this. I want you to listen to some calming and relaxing music for a quick second.
I don't know, but that little diatribe has to be a little short thing we put out on the website. It has to. 1 hour in, whatever it was, 1 hour and not 59 minutes, whatever it was.
Oh man. Okay. Oh, look at it. Oh man. I just want you honestly.
And honestly, Mike, I do love you. Thank you so much for the comment.
I love how as soon as you got there, he's like, thanks for the comment, Mike.
I don't mind. I don't mind.
Now
I could wear a jacket better than Butch can right now. I'll tell you that much.
Dude, he was wearing a freaking hat over his headset. Why? I like sometimes my hair is
I'm wearing a hat over my head too, though.
I gotta wear a hat, but I would not put my hat over the top of my headset. Number one, they don't make hats that big. Number two, I'm just like, it just doesn't look good. But
they do make hats that big, TJ. It's the fact that your head is so huge is the reason why it wouldn't fit on your head. A normal person head, it would fit over the headset.
Did you not get the joke? It was like self-deprecating humor. I said,
no,
they don't make hats that big where I can put them over top of my head. That's saying I've got a big head. It's self-deprecating humor. Don't worry. It's better when I don't have to explain the joke. That being said, Grump, I want you to take deep breaths. We're going to have an ad to read from Giraffe Kings, Grumpy Old Man. So Deep breaths, grumpy old man. Deep breaths.
Namaste.
Woosah.
Namaste.
Woosah, woosah. Hockey fans, DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, has a no-brainer offer that will make you a winner once any shot gets past the goalie. New customers can bet just $1 on any NHL game and win 100 in free bets if either team scores. And the NHL got rid of ties in 2005, so you know somebody's going to at least light the lamp. If Sportsbook isn't available in your state yet, no worries. Everyone can play for huge cash prizes all season long with DraftKings Daily Fantasy Hockey Contests. DraftKings is giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the promo code THPN and throw down $1 on any NHL game and win 100 in free bets if either team scores a goal. That's promo code THPN this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. You must be 21 years or older in New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only. New customers only. A minimum of a $5 deposit and a $1 wager is required. One per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for full details. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Good job on the ad read, TJ.
Oh, did you calm down a bit, Grumpy?
I was calm before.
Namaste, namaste. Tony Cheese might win the comment of the new year. B. Roll Bailey just is an extra in a movie set playing a hockey player.
And unconvincingly at that. I watched Youngblood over the break we had there. And let me tell you something, those actors are better players than Josh Bailey.
I always forget Youngblood had a lot of famous actors in that movie.
Yeah, you know what happened? They gave them a chance in a movie role. They let them develop their skills, and they turned into really good actors instead of just playing a whole bunch of freaking old guys out there and not letting the young guys develop their acting careers.
Keanu Reeves was there, I think, as the goalie or something like that. He played a minor role. Oh,
Rob Lowe still looks
Rob
young.
Lowe. That's right.
Patrick Swayze.
Patrick Swayze. That's him.
I mean, they had some great lines in that movie. Just great lines. I mean, I'm going to carve you up, Racky. See, we need more of that on the Islanders, I think.
My goodness gracious. Young blood, man.
You know what? If Josh Bailey was in Harry Potter, he'd be part of Hufflepuff. That'd be
What's wrong with Hufflepuff?
They're soft. They're little softies, Hufflepuffs. They're not, they're not devious like Slytherins, or they're not, heroic like Gryffindors. It is. I mean, what can I tell you? Ed Lauer.
Who's that guy in the middle? He's also famous, isn't he?
Ed Lauer. Yeah, he was a good character actor. I think he's dead now.
Well, yeah,
that was a good role for him. And I think the girl Cynthia Gibb, she was really pretty back then. I don't know what she looks like now, but she was really pretty back then.
That one right there. Fair enough.
That's not a good picture of her. She looked better in the movie. Yeah, there you go. I think she's cute. She was anyway. I used to be cute too, though. So Rob Lowe looks exactly the same. He's the only guy who hasn't aged a bit in 40 some odd years.
Some people just get that luck where it's like Tom Cruise, where he doesn't age. It must be drinking child's blood and murdering.
Tom Cruise is starting to show a little bit of age now.
How old is he? 60 something?
60. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing with Jennifer Aniston, right? She looks so damn young still, and you just think to yourself, I'm like, yeah, age is finally going to start showing one time, right?
It's easy to look good when you don't have any kids and you're like a multimillionaire. It's easy. You have kids, it puts stress on you. They're mostly dumb most all the time.
Yeah. Dave F. there saying, just let all the kids play. They've stepped up. You can't have 2 fourth lines out there in the same time. Martin, Casey, and the Cal line is just finished.
True.
Mayfield on the second pair with someone like Dobson would be great. I think you undervalue his defensive play. Our top 4 would be 6'2" and above. The bottom pair should be Sallow and Subban, Green, Chara, and Hutton.
See, I'd rather have Mayfield with Sallow. That's what I'd rather have.
Mayfield more of the stay-at-home defenseman, and it allows Sallow to feel a little more comfortable to do is what he would like, offensively a little bit more.
And Mayfield is better defensively than he's a little bit more mobile than Green and Chara. Not a whole lot, but a little bit more. And that enables you to play your left and right-hand defenseman guys in their regular spots. I'm not a big believer in having guys change their spots.
Dave F saying Zarnak, Ross Johnson, and Casey Zizekas or Parise should be our fourth line.
Yeah, Parise. I'd go Parise over. Here's the thing. You can't move Casey Zizekas.
So happens when you sign a huge contract like that.
In 30s for a fourth liner. For a fourth liner. How many times we made that mistake over and over and over again? I just, the identity line. I want to be identified with winning. Just call me crazy.
You've got here Frank K saying Sallow is going to be very good. And Matthew S. also saying Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
You know, Matthew was part of Isles Rated R. Isles Misery Rated R. Damn.
You almost
I told the TJ, sorry, Matthew, and everyone at Isles Misery Rated R. I messed that up.
Yeah, absolutely. John M saying I want the young guys to play and for the rest of the year so that Lou and Barry will be forced to get rid of the older guys and go more with a youth movement for the majority of ice time.
Okay, my main reason for playing the young guys, I want to see who's going to be part of the solution in the long term. Because you might see some of them out there if they play 40 games or something. You know what? They don't have it. We have Josh Bailey already. We don't need another one of them or, Casey Zizekas. But this way you know for certain. And then you can start moving your older veterans a little bit at a time and backfilling with younger players. That's what you want to do. That's what a smart organization does.
Dave F. saying Aho needs to play with Green. When Pulak comes back, we must sit Chara. I think Chara looked better today. I will say, as a whole, though, this season, he has not looked good. But I think today he played better. I mean, but playing better and having an okay game once every 5 isn't what I'm looking for out of a defenseman for this team in this system. So, but to be honest, this is a game where he really could have been exposed. I think our defense as a whole, the unit played really well. He really could have been exposed. You're going up against Draisaitl, you're going up against Connor McDavid, you're going up against Puljujarvi, going up against a lot of skilled forwards, and he didn't look like he was getting exposed as badly as he had in some earlier games this season.
Yeah, I thought he played pretty well today. He wasn't exposed, but here's the thing: he's got Noah Dobson covering for him. See, that's the whole thing. Oh,
Tony Cheese, I just get my PSA tested. I don't have to worry about any type of bending over or coughing or any of that nonsense.
No, well, you still got to get that checked. I hate to tell you.
No, you just get your PSA checked, right?
An enlarged prostate means that it hinders your ability to empty your bladder all the way while you feel like you have to go all the time.
No, I understand, but they check for the cancer. They check and they just do tests.
I know what they do. I've had prostate cancer. I know exactly what they do.
Oh.
You don't need to explain it to me.
Okay, fair enough. John W. says, not to throw salt in the wound, Eberle has more goals than Jean-Gabriel Pageau, Beauvillier, Parise, and Palmieri combined.
Yeah, here's the thing, though. And Eberle had undeniable chemistry with Matt Barzal. That said, even bad teams need somebody who's going to score a lot of goals for them. And Jordan Eberle just happens to be that guy for Seattle.
30 games played in Seattle, 12 goals, 10 assists, 22 total points.
Yeah.
He would not be putting up that many points. And I guarantee in Seattle, they let him play more offensive-minded than we would have let him play here, too.
True.
And then Nicholas A. saying here, I'm sad Casey Zizekas is not having a good season. Had a 20-goal season as a fourth liner. And in this past offseason, there were teams that seemed to had very high interest in him. They could have gotten a high pick for him if they were to trade him.
Well, remember, he was an unrestricted free agent at the end of last year, so they couldn't have got anything in for him in trade because he could have went anywhere he wanted. That 20 goals that he had, 3-4 years ago now, that's career year for him. He's never even sniffed 10 before. I think 9 he had one year. He had 9. But, I like Casey Zizekas, but guess what? He's in his 30s. He's a fourth-line center who's injury prone. You don't sign guys like that to 6-year contracts. And I don't care if he's making vet minimum. He's not, but I don't care if he is. When you're up against the cap all the time, you can't be just pissing money away like that for term and dollars. It's just it's going to be an out, just like Matt Martin, $1.5 million per for 4 years when he's 32 years old. Why? You don't need to do that, and you do it time after time. Leo Komarov gets a 4-year contract, $3 million per. Why? Nobody wanted him. Certainly not at that price. We wound up waiving him at the end. You didn't need to sign Anders Lee to a 7-year, $7 million per contract. If somebody wanted to offer him that for a 29, soon to be 30-year-old forward, you let him have him. You don't need to sign everybody who's ever put on an Islander uniform back to the roster when their contracts are up.
Gonna be deep breaths, man. Deep breaths. Gonna be deep breaths. And thank you, Manny Mass, for that. Mr. Janspan says adult diapers ? And nice bladder control. I do what I can. I do what I can. Saeed SS Saeed says here, I haven't watched this team in a while, but who the hell are Zarnak and Robin Sallow?
Zarnak is a player that we signed last offseason. Not this offseason, last offseason. Wasn't good enough to break our lineup. Played in Bridgeport all year. And Robin Sallow is a pick that came over from Finland this year and spent some time in Bridgeport. And I don't think he's there yet as a player. We certainly see good things potentially from him in the long run, but I don't think he's ready for a regular shift. Certainly not like the minutes he was getting early. Do you remember early in the COVID crisis when he was getting the most ice time out of every Islander defenseman?
He was playing 21 plus minutes a night, and Noah Dobson was taking backseat to Robin Sallow, which was mind-blowing.
Yeah. I mean, what does that tell you about Barry Trotz? That's a Trotzism right there. That's Barry Trotz in a nutshell. He doesn't trust Noah Dobson. He had to trust him. Noah Dobson showed what he can do. That's all on Barry Trotz. He should be the voice that wants to give these guys the chance, not the one who shackles them.
Matthew is saying, although Bailey is what he is, I can tolerate him on a third line way more than Palmieri on the top six.
I can tolerate Josh. You know what? But he's not even a third line guy anymore. There's no jump in his game. But I'd much rather have him on a third line, but not for $5 million per. If he was making $750K, it's just like Parise. I can live with Parise playing on the fourth line, making $750K. I cannot stand Josh Bailey making $5 million a year.
You've got here a comment from Dave F. saying here, Bailey has never been a scorer, though. It's nothing new. Get mad at the other bums on this team.
Why is he on the first line if he can't score?
We've already
the first line is your scoring line. You can't have a zero out there. It's back to the helicopter line from last year, right? No wings. That's what it's like again. He's like, here's Lee. He can barely flap his little wing. Bailey's just like Limp Biscuit out there, and Barzell's got to do everything.
Seed also wants to know, is there any chance that the Islanders can turn it around and make the playoffs?
So you're saying there's a chance. I mean, there's still a chance. They're not mathematically eliminated. I don't think it's a great chance. I don't think the percentages are really high.
If we commit to playing some more of the youth and we commit to playing guys who are performing better that we've seen over this stretch, I think it improves our chances.
Yes.
If we come back from this 12-game stretch and we see the same exact freaking lineup that we had out opening night, there is no shot in hell we make the playoffs. If we commit to saying, Kiefer Bellows, man, you've put up 7 points over the last 7 games. I know you've had a very, very limited sample size, and when we put you on the top 6, you've performed. All right, man, run with it. Take your chance. Take your opportunity. Noah Dobson, you've played well. When we play you 20, 21 minutes a night, when we give you that elevated role, man, keep doing it. Let's see what we can do. I think we have an elevated chance, a better chance of making the playoffs. If we go back again, I'll mention one more time, to the same exact lineup we had opening night, there's no shot in hell. None.
Here's the thing. The veterans who played on opening night was Barry's team. How did they perform the first 18 games? Miserably. We played absolutely horribly. They did nothing. The young guys are responsible for the turnaround. Why would you go back to what didn't work? Why would you do that? Now, here's the thing. I'm going to say, if Barry Trotz plays all the young guys and sits the veterans, I'll just be like Emily Latella from Saturday Night Live. Never mind. That's what I'll be like. But he's going to have to prove it to me. That was a Gilda Radner character from the early years of SNL, when it was actually funny.
Oh, man, I'll tell you. Manny Mass says, bro, Trotz had an option with the Capitals, but chose to take the money with the Islanders.
They did not want him. They didn't pick up his option. They let him go. They did not want him. They did not want him back. They thought Todd Reardon was better than he was. What does that tell you? I don't hear Ovechkin saying, boy, I wish we had Barry Trotz back. No. I just don't want to see if Noah Dobson makes a mistake or two with Kiefer Bellows that they go back to the bench, because that's not how he plays it with the veterans. The veterans can make mistake after mistake after mistake, and he continues to ride them. He continues to ride with those guys, and he never calls them out in the press. He'll always call out the younger guys when they make a mistake. He stopped doing it for Matt Barzal because he knows he can't do it anymore. He cannot do that anymore at all. No one would believe him. That's why you've seen that stop.
I'm seeing, and by the New York Times here, this was reported, and I'm just trying to pull up in 2018 because I didn't think he had the option out there. It said Trotz abruptly stepped down as the head coach of the Washington Capitals on Monday after he and the team could not agree to terms on a new deal.
They didn't want him. They didn't want him back. They didn't want him back. A guy who just won the Stanley Cup and they won President's Trophy how many years? They didn't want him back. There's a reason.
Bailey is a one-dimensional player that does not fit on this team.
He doesn't fit on anyone's team.
John M says, Grumpy, take the blood pressure, man. Take your blood pressure down. But this is all fun. This isn't
Actually,
all fun.
My BP is really good. I think venting helps my blood pressure.
I have real low blood pressure, like dangerously low blood pressure. They tell me I got to get my blood pressure up.
They must have been taking the temperature from around your neck because I don't think the blood goes up to your brain.
John M says, TJ does have a big melon, leaks a lot, makes him go to the washroom too often.
Actually, TJ does have a big head, a really big head.
I've said it before. I've got a big head. That's why I don't like. I'm like Butch. I'm like, he must have a peanut size head, like one of those small heads. I'm like, I could not fit a hat over my head in a pair of headphones. They don't make hats that big.
They roll TJ's head down the lanes like on Wednesday nights.
He's saying a bowling ball. Paul O.C. says, you have to have the young players play regular minutes, not sitting them out most of the time and making them play minimum minutes. Make them play and be patient with their development.
That's exactly what they should do. That's what I've been preaching for a number of years now.
Mark A saying this team might make the playoffs if we let the players that are performing at this moment, the younger guys, and we give them the elevated chance. I feel much more confident with our chances to make the playoffs as opposed to if we just go back to our opening night lineup. Without
the young guys today, we get shut out. The old guys did nothing today. Nothing. Just like most of the season. Nothing. All of our higher goal scorers are under the age of 30.
Anthony R says, my hope is that it comes from this horrible, crazy year. We make some major changes to the lineup next year. I think guys like Palmieri, Parise, Chara, Green, Bailey, Clutterbuck, and Martin are all gone. 70 spot. Palmieri's not gone. They just signed his ass. He's got another 3 years left on that contract. Bad sign.
Now, would that be a full rebuild, TJ? That's full rebuild to me.
Oh, okay. Let me ask you that. Okay,
Chara
gone, Parise gone. Those are two guys that, Chara, Parise, and Green are all going to be gone.
Okay.
Hold on. Clutter's contract expires too. Those are all. So for the guys that contracts expires, we don't sign back. I think Clutter is either going to be traded at the trade deadline. I still think that's the case. He will not be back with us next year. I mean, the only two guys you would be moving off your team that have a contracts past this year are Palmieri and Bailey in this scenario. I don't consider that a full rebuild now.
Bailey has no trade value at all.
Yes.
Martin has no trade value. Palmieri has no trade value, and they just re-signed him. So he's not going anywhere. But that, to me, that's full rebuild. And I'm not opposed to that.
Tariq here is saying, Tariq says, Aho is a disaster. What does Trotz see in him? Sallow is miles ahead of Aho.
See, I disagree about Aho. I do. I think, all right, he's not a physical presence in front of the net, but he gives the Islanders something that they don't have, which is a guy who can move the puck. He's looked okay out there when he played with the appropriate partner. Not Chara, but I could see him as a good partner on a bottom pairing with Mayfield. But here's the thing. They're all in for Sallow, which I'm fine. I just don't think that Sallow has outplayed Aho at this point in time. But, is what it is.
And also Jeremy Ford here saying, Grumpy, tell us how you really feel. You sound like Kirby Smart, that coach from Georgia.
Hey, he's one game away from winning a national championship.
Would you go for a guy like Lindholm from Anaheim with the savings from Varlamov's contract if he's moved?
No. I think he's going to get so much money in unrestricted free agency. I'm not even looking at him. You don't need him. I'm looking past this year. I'm not looking to pick up anybody in season. I'm not. There's no way that I'm doubling down on this team. No way. You need to keep all your draft picks.
Got a comment here also from Dave F. Not defending him being on the first line. He shouldn't be. I'm just saying that Bailey's lack of scoring should be no surprise.
How does he continue to get $5 million a year contracts? Here's the thing. He's not good enough. That doesn't mean you have to play him every night. I know he doesn't score. He doesn't shoot. You got to shoot to score. But that said, he doesn't deserve a starting spot. He does not automatically deserve to be in the lineup every night. And that's the way it is. He's never been benched by Barry Trotz ever. And he was been bad this year. Really bad.
John W. here saying 7 points out of the wild card spot, 5 games in hand. There sure is a chance.
I guess there's a chance for Montreal too, and Ottawa, because they're technically in it. There's too many teams ahead of you. I just feel there's too many teams ahead of you.
I'm about to say
Boston isn't even in a playoff spot. Boston, I think, has more of a shot of making the playoffs than we do. Pittsburgh's going to make the playoffs.
And Boston also has a game in hand over us as well.
And Boston has a game in hand, and they're 6 points up. So, and Boston's just going to get better. When Rask comes into camp, they're going to get better.
It's a long way. It's all about how many points do we win. We've got to win out of the points available, we have to win like 67% of all points if we're looking at the remainder of the season.
Good luck.
It's an uphill battle. I think if you're playing the younger guys, it's a little bit easier. And then playing the guys that are performing, I think it's a more doable task. If we go back and revert to what we had at the beginning of the year, it's like Mount Everest. And Saeed also says here, I remember seeing a bit of the Calgary game. And where's that guy named Richard Panik? Who the hell was that? Richard Panik, he used to play for the Washington Capitals, or he used to play for the Washington Capitals. He was traded away at last year's trade deadline in their deal where they acquired Anthony Mantha, and we acquired Richard Panik after we went ahead and traded away Nick Leddy this offseason.
Okay. Richard Panik deserves a shot. He's better than anybody on our fourth line, too. I'm willing to give guys like that.
Kyle Clutterbuck. Don't. I think Kyle Clutterbuck is better than what you're giving him credit for. Look at that. Grumpy old man has Lou from the landline. Lou Lamoriello calling him up.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Could he not replace, if they were going to trade Cal Clutterbuck, could Richard Panik just not slide in very easily into that spot? I thought he showed very well the limited times he played with the Islanders. He's a bottom 6 guy. We have so many bottom 6 guys. It doesn't matter if we jettison half a dozen. We still have another dozen back there. We don't have anybody who's top line quality. One guy on the whole team right now who actually plays that spot on a consistent basis is a top 6 forward.
That deserves to be there. That deserves to be there on a consistent basis. I agree.
He won't give Wallstrom a shot to play on the top line. Won't give Bellows a shot to play on the top line. He continues to ride with the old veterans who just have done nothing this year.
Got a comment here from Matthew Essels saying we need to rip off like 5 wins out of our next 7. We shouldn't be just clawing for a playoff spot, but to strive for way better than that.
True.
Got a comment here from Manny Mass saying false. The option was there as a condition of winning the cup. It was the move by Barry. Look it up. Oh, I'm just saying.
No, they didn't want him back. They did not want him back.
Let me pull up the New York Times article.
They did not want him back. They did not want him back.
That's fine.
He thought he deserved more money. They said no way. He was gone.
Saeed wants to know thoughts about Sorokin being the goaltender long term.
Absolutely, 100%.
You want to?
I thought he looked shaky. He only had 17 saves today.
I was going to say it wasn't a day he was tested very much. I don't believe.
No, I thought we played the second period was a little shaky for the Islanders. But other than that, I thought we played extremely well, limiting their chances.
Grumpy. And just to show that, because I had never heard of this, and again, until I see otherwise, I'm just going to go with what I see here on the New York Times. Barry Trotz abruptly stepped down as the head coach of the Washington Capitals on Monday after he and the team could not agree to terms on a new contract, leading them with the newly minted Stanley Cup champions without a coach as the draft approaches this week and free agency opens up next month. Yeah, I thought they couldn't agree on it, and he wanted to get paid. They didn't really want him all that bad, is from what I understood. And we paid him a lot more than what I think Washington was willing to offer, which was odd, thinking about, hey, Washington just won the cup. They were unwilling to pay the Stanley Cup championship coach. So
if they wanted him bad enough, they would have ponied up the cash. They didn't want him.
Yeah. AJC saying
that was before everyone knew he was out before that playoffs. That was before the playoffs. They knew he wasn't coming back before then. They talked about it ad nauseum, how he wasn't coming back.
AJC saying, why do you think that Trotz is always playing the veterans over the younger players that are showing more than the veterans? Grumpy.
Because he's always been like that. That's the type of coach he is. There are a lot of coaches like that. They trust veterans more than younger players. Bill Parcells was like that when he was a Giants coach, Jets coach, Dallas coach, Miami coach. I don't know if he coached in Miami or not. But wherever he coached, he was always over the veterans too. They trust them more. You want to know what Parcells always said was, you want to know what a guy's going to be consistent game in and game out. They like consistency, and they don't want to go through the growing pains. I mean, but then you're limited to how good you can be at the end of the day.
And you talk about growth of a player, right? Your consistency, the veterans are going to be very consistent. You don't have to worry too much about any types of you don't have to worry as much about the ups and downs of the season. With the rookies and with younger players, the ups and downs are like magnified. You're going to have the ebbs and flows of the season are really going to hit a rookie very, very hard. When they hit let's say one of those hurdles or those stumbling blocks, it's tough for them to get over it. Where the veteran has been there, they know how to get over those time periods of fatigue that the younger players really haven't faced at the NHL level yet. So you'd also saying, I feel like most coaches ride the vets rather than going with the rookies. It's kind of like in basketball, rookie development isn't as important, and their young, unproven player fizzles out in like 2 years.
But your upside is much higher playing a younger player. And you have to go through some growing pains. If I'm a coach, I'm willing to go through some growing pains in the regular season so that come playoff time, these guys already contribute at a higher level. That's just my way of thinking on it. It's not Barry Trotz's way of thinking on it.
Robert G says, during our losing skid, it looked like Trotz lost the team based on the nonverbal views or view during the team's negative run. Lane Lambert gave the team a little jump today.
I don't think he lost the team. I just think our team, particularly our veterans, are half a step slow, cumulatively as a team. If everybody loses, once you get in your 30s, you're not as good anymore. You can't skate as well. Your reaction time isn't as good. And you have half your team, more than half your team, 8 out of 12 forwards are, 30 and over, losing a half step. Guess what? You're not as good anymore as a unit. You're not able to get to that guy coming back, particularly with the system that we play, where everybody has to be in. It's a grind out system. That's tough on veterans.
Paulo C said, Grumpy, you're on fire the first day of the new year. You should help out your mother more often. There it is, Grumpy. You need to help out your mother more often there, Grumpy.
Yeah, I need to help her out more often. Yeah.
Look at that. It's a smile. That's an ear-to-ear smile on Grump's face.
Well, she took a nasty tumble yesterday, and her whole face is black and blue. So it was a tough day for her.
How's she doing, Grump?
She's okay. She's okay.
Matthew S. saying, or 9 of the next 11 games they need to win.
Well, hey, if you win 9 of the next 11, you're in good shape. Remember, other teams are going to continue to play hard too. I just think it's, for me, I'm looking at the young guys are the ones producing, and the old guys aren't. Do you go back to the old guys or not?
Mr. Janspan says here, Aho looked a bit leaky on defense when playing on his offside. He's much better on the left side. I think he's shown enough to say that he can play at least a bottom 6 role in the NHL as a left defenseman.
That's what I feel he is. And again, the young guy, they're never going to be as good playing their offside. That's why you play him on his left side, which is what his natural position is. And I don't think he's a top 4 defenseman, but as a bottom 6, a bottom pairing guy, I have no problem with him. None.
Policy also saying tonight's Winter Classic will rank as the coldest outdoor game in NHL history.
Wow. That's going to probably be a good game. Starts at 7.
Do you remember what game was it they tried to have one of the outdoor games in Lake Placid, or not Lake Placid? They had Lake
Tahoe.
Lake Tahoe. Was it last year's game?
Yeah. And it was
And
way
it was
too
way
hot.
too it was way too warm, and the ice is just all crappy. I do remember
the sun hit it. And
mm-hmm. Tariq S also saying, please remember, Iowa's too small, was targeted repeatedly, especially in the Nashville game.
Yeah, he's a smaller guy, but he moves the puck. That's the way the NHL is going, is to smaller puck moving defensemen. The dinosaurs we have, there's a reason why we give up a lot of goals this year and can't get out of our own zone a lot. There's a reason.
Talking about with the older, more like Andy Green.
Less mobile guys.
Okay, fair enough.
I thought Andy Green had a pretty good game today too. Made a couple of mistakes, but you would see some of the veteran moves that he and Char do that the young guys don't do yet. I mean,
positionally
yes.
as well, like where Char will use his body where he says, all right, I don't have to exert and do XYZ different. I can just position myself between the puck and the guy, the forward who's trying to pursue this puck right here, to buy my defensive partner an extra second or two to allow us to get the puck out of the zone. Doing smart little things like that are, invaluable. That's when you talk about what do Chara and Green do that are better than young guys. Stuff like that they haven't picked up on. They do much better.
Yeah. I mean, and like I said, I thought Chara played well today, and he was real noticeable a couple of times just with some of those veteran plays that he made. Just really good, really subtle. And, I appreciate that. I really do.
Nicholas A is saying, fun question. When will the Islanders ever host an All-Star weekend? Have we ever had one on?
I think we had one at Nassau Coliseum once, going way, way, way back. But I guarantee you we're going to get one. You don't build a state-of-the-art stadium like that and not have an all-star game there.
Yep, I agree with that. Stephen V saying, hey, Grump, you look like Ralph Cramden today when Alice is yelling at him.
I don't know which scene, but Alice was always yelling at Ralph.
Brian J saying here, Trotz can go ASAP. AJC saying here, line 1, Lee, Barzal, Wallstrom. Line 2, Nelson, Bevilier, Bellows. Line 3, Zarnak, Jean-Gabriel Pajot, and Johnson. Line 4, Martin, Cizikas, and Clutterbuck.
The line 4 to me, I'm sorry, where's Pajot? Pajot's got to play in there somewhere.
Jean-Gabriel.
Oh, okay, the JG. Okay.
Third line center.
Yeah, see, for me, I'd much rather have Bellows with Barzal and Wallstrom. I'd rather have, and Bailey's going to play. So I'd rather have Nelson, Lee, and Bailey. They've always played well together. And it can also focus my hate and anger on one line. For a third line, I'd rather have Bevilier with Zarnak and Jean-Gabriel Pajot. And my fourth line would be Zarnak. Oh, wait, no, do I have Zarnak on the third line? I want Martin out of there. That's what I want. And I also want Cizikas. I'll put Panic in there over Cizikas and Johnston with Clutterbuck. That's what I go with.
Paulo C said, TJ, you have Josh Bailey's blood pressure.
Yeah, no drive. Just barely alive.
Saeed says, in the small sample size I've seen of Wallstrom, I think he's going to be a really good sniper. Give him the minutes for certain. Certain. And needs to get the chance. Nico G says, no. Aho has had plenty of chances. He's not the guy, not even a bottom 6 guy. Sallow has proven that he can handle a bottom 6 role. He's great. Aho is horrid in his own zone. Sallow is so much better.
Okay. Now, what was the one thing he just said? That Sallow has had plenty of chances. Is that correct?
Yes. No, he said plenty of chances. Yeah.
Okay. How many chances has he actually had? Does anyone know?
Couldn't tell you.
Can you look how many games he's actually played in the NHL? I mean, I'm interested. I mean, I can pull it up, but I'm terrible at that. So I'm going to let you do that. For a guy who's had so many chances, I thought he looked pretty good when
12 games this year, last year 3 games. Besides that, he had 22 games with Doug Waite. So he's played 15 games with Barry Trotz over a 2-year span.
Okay.
Over a 3-year span that he's been here. 4-year span.
That's not plenty of chances. 15 games over 3 years is not plenty of chances.
Only 12 this year too. So I'll say this. I think Sebastian Aho makes mistakes at his own end, but so does Sallow. Sallow, you think to yourself, okay, he didn't make any mistakes. The guy, he limited the hell out of his ice time. Sallow didn't play much on ice today. What did he play? Like, what was it, like 12 or 13 minutes of ice time this afternoon? It wasn't a lot of time on ice. And anytime they have these guys they don't trust, they just simply don't give them ice time. Doesn't matter if the player's playing well. If they don't have the trust, they don't get the ice time.
And I'm not saying that Aho's a top pairing defenseman or even a middle pairing, but for a bottom pairing guy who plays 12 minutes a night or 13 minutes, he's very serviceable. He gives you something you don't have right now, which is a puck moving defenseman at all. Dobson's the only guy who's capable of doing it right now.
I don't disagree, Grump. I don't disagree. And
I'm not saying he's even a long-term answer, but for right now, he's better than Sallow.
I'm trying to pull up. I apologize. I was trying to pull up the box score, Grumpy, to see time on ice. Jesus Christ, is going to keep playing that. Time on ice tonight. Robin Sallow only had 11 minutes and 26 seconds. And here's the thing, right? You talk about Robin Sallow. He went from playing 20 some odd minutes first when he was breaking in when we had all the COVID issues. He was playing 21 minutes on ice time every night for like 4 games. Then he went to being a healthy scratch for like the next 5 or 6. And now he's back to playing like 11 minutes on ice time.
He's not ready yet. And that's not a crime. I mean, he doesn't, honestly, Aho has played better than him. I'm not saying that Aho has more upside than Sallow, but right now, Aho is a better left-handed defenseman than Sallow. That's all I'm saying.
And then Robert G said, Grumpy about Tortorella. Or Trotz, maybe you meant to say. When you keep stumbling and not winning, then how long are you going to keep hitting your head on the wall without going with youth that has brought positive results?
As I said, probably about 2 months ago now, Lou Lamoriello, I see the writing on the wall for this team. We're not winning a Stanley Cup. We got too many old guys who just don't produce, and they're all on the downside. So you need to go to Barry Trotz, if I'm Lou Lamoriello, and ownership, whoever, and says, this is the direction we want to take. We want to incorporate the younger guys into the lineup sooner rather than later. I know that you're in love with playing the older guys, but that's not the direction this team wants to take going in the future. Are you in on that? If the answer is yes, I keep Trotz. If it's no, I say goodbye. I give him an ultimatum almost. And I don't think he's a bad coach, but he has bad habits.
Brian J saying, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Every old player will be in soon. I'm talking about Trotz and his mentality. And I got one more comment here. Saeed says, I want Grumpy's thought on Pelix and his new contract.
I have no problem with that contract. He's getting paid what a defensive defenseman should get paid, and he signed up long-term. How is he going to skate 5 years from now? We don't know, but I'm not against that contract.
I like the contract. I thought when we originally signed it, he was a steal. After watching the lack of performance for both Pulock and Pelech when they were separated earlier on this year, made me think that, yeah, they actually were kind of on target with that offer. I mean, Pelech and Pulock together are fantastic. I think Pelech really benefits from the system. He's a defensive defenseman. He could be really talented in a lot of spaces in the league. And that contract is very team-friendly. There is no doubt about it. That being said, what I've seen out of Noah Dobson, it gives me everything I thought about how this guy could be a top defenseman, a top pairing defenseman for us. Everything I've seen over him over the last 10 some odd games gives me hope that, yes, he will grow into that one day.
And that's what you're hoping for, right?
Absolutely, Grumpy. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, Grump, we're here at the end of this evening's podcast. Let me ask you, what do you want to say before we wrap things up?
I just want to say love and laughter to everyone who listens, and even those who don't, from TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. Happy New Year to everyone, and let's hope for some more Islander success.
Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're new to the show, we implore, subscribe on YouTube, like on Facebook, and follow on Twitter. We do this podcast every single Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and every single Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, anytime the Islanders play a game, as long as it's not on a Thursday or a Sunday, we go live during the game. So you also get to do the watch alongs with me and Grumpy, and watch Grumpy pulling his hair out, yelling at the TV screen, just having that raw emotion that everybody loves to watch. Because the reason we don't do them on Thursdays and Sundays, you might wonder, is because we have another podcast called TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. That's in the link in the description below. It's a general sports podcast where we talk sports and shoot the shit. We cover, again, professional football games, college football games. We just covered the Georgia-Michigan game last night and live streamed that. But usually on Thursdays and Sundays, we do a podcast there called TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. But thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. God bless and have a wonderful New Year's. Thank you again, Grumpy Old Man.
My pleasure.